This CFMOTO Ibex 450 is one of the hottest and most popular new bikes that I've seen come out pretty much since I started making motorcycle content. Every time I post about it or put up a video about it, I get a ton of comments and questions, and enthusiasm and interest and questions about this bike seem to be unbelievably high. Because of that, I've tried to test it as thoroughly as possible. I've ridden it on my local OHV trails. I took it to Death Valley and spent 3 days on it. I did an extensive freeway test. I did a back roads, highway, twisties, road trip test. I took it camping and did just about everything I could think of that an average user like me would want this bike for. And along the way, I've gotten it up to 1,000 miles. So this is my long-term 1,000-mile review of the CFMOTO Ibex 450. So hopefully I can answer some of your questions about what it's like to live with and ride this bike. Keep in mind, I'm not a mechanic or a motorcycle expert. I'm not gonna get nitty-gritty with the specs and the details and the crankshaft angle and all of that. Plenty of information about that on the internet. I'm here to tell you what it's like to live with and ride this thing as an average adventure rider. So, all of that said, how do I feel about the Ibex 450 after 1,000 miles? Is it the unicorn we all have hoped for? Let's talk about it. I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to MotoCamp Nerd for sponsoring this video and pretty much all of my adventures. Before I dive into my impressions, let's just quickly go over the important specs so that we're all on the same page about this Ibex 450. The Ibex 450 is a 449cc fuel-injected inline twin with a 270-degree crankshaft. It has 44 horsepower. One of the things that impresses me is that that horsepower number is actually listed on CFMOTO's website. That never happens. I never see the actual horsepower number on a manufacturer's site. I always have to go to motorcycle.com or something to find it. It has 32.5 pound-feet of torque, a 6-speed transmission, a 32.3-inch seat height, but it is adjustable down to 31.5 inches, and you can get the tall rally seat, which I have here on this bike, so seat height is adjustable to suit your leg length, as it were. It has a 21-inch front and an 18-inch rear wheel. Both are spoked and tubeless. It has traction control, ride modes, and ABS, a fully adjustable suspension with 7.8 inches of travel. It has 8.7 inches of ground clearance, weighs 431 pounds wet. That's not from the website. That's from Jake the Garden Snake and Spite weighing it right in front of me back in September. It has a 4.6-gallon tank, and somehow this motorcycle retails for $6,500 US. And let me just address the obvious elephant in the room. Yes, I know tariffs may increase that price or may affect availability of this motorcycle, but all of that seems to be changing every day, and it will probably change between now and when you see this video. So we're just gonna talk about the bike as a whole and let all that stuff kind of take care of itself in the background. I'm here to review bikes, not trade policy. So first, the good. What do I like about this bike? Well, first of all, the app is not terrible. In most cases with a ride app on a motorcycle, and most of the bikes I have that at least have electronics have some kind of app, it's kind of garbage, it's gimmicky, it doesn't work well, you have to leave it plugged in, there's 1,000 little caveats. This thing works great. The CFMOTO Ride Sync app offers navigation aids and ride analytics, including a high speed warning, which I get at the end of basically every ride. System scans and alerts, you can check your fuel level from your phone. Vehicle Seek gives you real-time location and movement alerts, and all of this is included for free, as far as I can tell. Toyota wanted to charge me $25 a month for that kind of functionality, so it's kind of cool and refreshing to see it offered for free, at least so far. I don't know if that's something they're beta testing and they'll charge for later. It seems like they should, because it's a hell of a lot of functionality for nothing. But it's a great app, it works well. So I'm shocked and happy, and that's one of the things I like about this bike. I love the screen, it's gorgeous and easy to read, and it has phone connectivity so you can control your music from the handlebars. You can turn the ABS and the traction control off on the fly by holding down one button for 2 seconds. You just press that button again and it'll turn back on. It has a ton of features you don't see on cheap bikes. It has an adjustable windscreen, it has built-in USB ports, foldable mirrors, a foldable rear brake and shift lever, and adjustable levers at the front. The stock linkage includes a lowering position so that you can adjust that seat height down if you're a shorter rider. That does not require any additional modifications or third-party parts. You just move the shock linkage into the other hole. CFMOTO offers a full line of OEM accessories that fit well and seem to be of good quality, and you can roll those costs into the purchase of the bike if you're buying OEM when you finance the motorcycle. That's an advantage if you don't have the cash to lay out for everything right up front. The build quality on this bike is good. It's solid. It feels to me, and this is subjective obviously, but it feels like a Japanese bike. I've said from the beginning, if you sat me on it and told me it was a Yamaha, I would believe you. It doesn't have that cheap Chinese feel that you are associating with older products, or even with that like Bras 250 that I had that definitely felt cheaply made and like it was gonna rattle itself apart. It's solid. The tolerances are tight. It's smooth, it rides well, it looks good, it feels good. It doesn't feel like a, quote, Chinese motorcycle. And if that's what you're thinking, definitely go take a look at one and put your hands on it yourself, because I don't get that impression from it at all. And I had that bias going in, and I was surprised. $6,500 is a ridiculous price for all of the features you get on this bike. A fully adjustable suspension is unheard of on a bike at this price point. It makes this bike configurable for a wider range of riders, and you could buy it as an entry-level bike and tweak the suspension as your own skills grow and you start riding faster and harder, so the bike will last you longer and be more adaptable even as you change as a rider. It has the perfect amount of power for an average rider. It's fast enough to be fun and you can give it full throttle, but not enough power or capability for me to get out ahead of my skis, and in this case my skis is my limited riding ability. It's very difficult to get in over my head on this bike, even when I make a mistake, give it too much throttle, dump the clutch, whatever. It's a perfectly easy to ride bike that you can push as hard as you want without going 100 miles an hour. It looks good. I like the way it looks. You know, the styling is probably hit or miss for some people, but I think this is a very good looking motorcycle. Low seat height, even in the standard position, is confidence inspiring without making the seating position unbearable or sacrificing ground clearance as suspension travel. You don't usually see all three: decent clearance, low seat height, decent suspension travel. Usually something has to give. Not so bad on this bike at all. The exhaust is amazing sounding, if a little loud, depending. If you got your earplugs in, it's about perfect, but it sounds so good, especially for a 450. So I really like that. And at $6,500, it's not cheap, like that's not nothing, but you're not all butt puckered over every scrape and scratch and drop because you didn't spend your life savings on this bike. It's not horribly expensive to get into from the beginning. And that's all well and good, but what don't I like about it? The bad things, the cons. First, the stock handguards are plastic garbage. Again, anytime bikes come with stock plastic handguards, they usually suck, but one drop and these snapped, didn't even protect the lever broke, so those are like an immediate replace. They're brush deflectors at best. Stock skid plate isn't very good. It's thin. It's not a skid plate. It's a gravel deflector. It will bend the first time you hit a decent rock. Again, not uncommon in adventure bikes, but just know if you're planning on going into any rocky type terrain or over any logs or anything, you're going to want to upgrade that skid plate. Stock bar position, for some reason, isn't super comfortable for me. I see it is adjustable. I think you can flip the clamps over, but I also think it's already all the way back, so I need to tweak it a little. I need probably a rocks riser. That's me personally, because my arms, I guess, just aren't long enough, but I do feel it in the elbow and bicep after riding it for a couple hours at a time. Probably my least favorite thing about this bike is the buffeting around the windscreen. I watched a couple other reviews, Ian in particular, and he said it wasn't too bad, so maybe I'm just oversensitive. Maybe it's the helmet I'm wearing. I don't know, but I cannot get out of the buffeting on this bike. There's a noticeable difference between leaning down behind the windscreen and sitting back up, even with the tall screen, so just know, like most adventure bikes, there's some issues with wind noise, and maybe test ride it before you commit to it. See if it annoys you as much as it does me. It's not a deal breaker, but it does annoy me. It makes me want to go on long highway trips a lot less. It's noticeably less powerful, and the suspension is working harder with luggage. Again, not shocking for a 450. I don't really think this is a bike you want to go two up on because of that. Maybe an emergency to get your buddy out of the woods. But if you're planning on riding with two people all the time, on or off the road, this is not the bike for that. Single caliber front brake makes aggressive braking less than crisp, feels kind of wooden at times. You can ride on the freeway, but it won't cruise for hours with ease. And the throttle's pretty stiff, so I really feel like this bike could have benefited from cruise control. That would eliminate probably half of what I don't like about riding it on the highway or the freeway for long periods of time, but it has a cable throttle, which makes that almost impossible. Throttle lock, like the Atlas, is about as close as you can get. I have one of those on the way. The headlight dimmer switch is under your pointer finger on the left side, and it's in a real dumb place, or it's too long or something. I click it all the time, and I have done that ever since I got this bike, or the first time I actually rode the one last year. So half the time I'll look down and my brights are on and I don't realize it because I have just barely grazed that dimmer switch with my finger while trying to use the clutch. I need to make a few more adjustments to see if I can make it a little better, but it is just in a really inconvenient spot. The body plastics are kind of vulnerable. Based on my drop and some of what I've seen online, I popped the body panel off in my first drop out here in the yard, and I have not been able to get the clips all the way back in here, and that was a drop at like literally not moving. It stopped and fell over. I've seen some shattered front fairings online, so just know without crash bars, the fairings are pretty vulnerable because of the design, the protruding nature of the front body panels. And the stock tires aren't my favorite. They're fine for true 50-50 or if you're gonna ride on the street, but they're not good in the sand or the mud. I always say that. They're also not actually Pirelli Scorpions. They're a knockoff, so I don't know how long they'll last. I don't love them. I took them off immediately. Your mileage may vary, quite literally. So while we're talking about bad things, it makes sense to address reliability concerns. Is it going to be reliable? Well, My go-to line lately has been, it's as reliable as a KTM. That's my guess, because they build bikes for KTM and have for years. CFMOTO has been building motorcycles since the 80s. I don't know. My guess is it won't be as rock-solid reliable as a Japanese bike, but I bet the problems will be hit or miss, kind of like with a KTM. I haven't heard about any persistent issues. Nothing in the groups, nothing based on the year or two it's been out overseas, nothing consistent. That's what I look out for. Like if the same thing is failing over and over and over again, that's a design flaw, that's a manufacturing issue, that's a concern. I haven't heard that about this bike. That's encouraging. There is a 2-year warranty. There are CFMOTO dealerships all over the country. There are 600 in the US. Yes, I know that not all of them do motorcycles, but it's a CFMOTO dealership where they've been selling their side-by-sides or their quad. You can probably get some parts and maybe even service there. I would check with your local dealer. And yes, the tariff situation might affect our ability to get replacement parts going forward, but as of right now, they seem pretty reasonably available and easy enough to just order online or go to the dealership and get one. I went to the local dealership. They had oil filters in stock. That's a good indicator for me. Just the kind of things you're gonna need a lot, they seem to have them on hand. Reliability-wise, I wouldn't take it around the world. That wouldn't be my first choice for an around the world journey, but that would always be a Honda or a Yamaha for me just because I need it to not fail ever. I don't know with this bike, but I don't expect it to fail. I have no problems taking it on my US adventures. And probably the most prevalent con you're gonna get with this bike is you're gonna get a bunch of comments from people about buying a motorcycle from China. This is not a political channel, it's a motorcycle channel. Your political opinions are your own. My political opinions are my own. I don't review politics, I review motorcycles. So it's up to you to decide whether or not that's a factor in your decision, whether or not to buy this bike, but just know you are gonna have to answer the question and people will bring it up. If you don't believe me, just look at the comment section of this video. Before we start talking about on and off-road capability, I just want to throw out a quick thank you and a shout out and a recommendation for all of your adventure motorcycling gear needs from Moto Camp Nerd. The best place to buy your motorcycle camping gear, your motorcycle riding gear, and your motorcycle luggage is Moto Camp Nerd, your one-stop shop for all things motorcycle adventure. That's right, Moto Camp Nerd has added riding gear and motorcycle luggage to the world's most carefully curated selection of motorcycle camping gear. Ben, the owner, is one of the most meticulous people I know, and he applies that laser focus to gear selection. Every single piece of camping gear, luggage, and riding gear has to meet his very exacting standards, and he's very nitpicky. Believe me. Moto Camp Nerd is run by Ben and his wife Mary. Ben works the store in the mornings before going to his full-time job in the afternoons. When you buy gear from his site, you're supporting his dream of facilitating the adventures of others like you and I full-time. Got gear questions? Email and he'll answer them. Not sure what you even need to go on a motorcycle camping adventure? Ben has a free full moto camping gear checklist that will point you in the right direction. I've been working with Moto Camp Nerd since the site launched. I'm proud to work with them and fully support their mission of making other people's motorcycle camping and adventure dreams come true. Make sure you pop over to the site and check out all that Moto Camp Nerd has to offer. There's a link in the description, or you can just type in motocampnerd.com. Thanks again to Moto Camp Nerd for sponsoring this video. Let's talk about off-road capability. There are lots of examples of different types of off-road riding in my Ibex 450 playlist. Like I said, I did 3 days in Death Valley on the rocky, sandy stuff. We rode down basically a riverbed from the top of Cerro Gordo. I took it on my local OHV trails, so I've tried to get a variety of off-road riding, both kind of difficult and technical, and the sort of fast, quick gravel adventure stuff that a lot of us will do on these bikes. So if you want to see the nitty-gritty individual stuff, check out the rest of the videos in the playlist. But if, in terms of overall off-road capability, I will say this. It's a blast to ride. It is stable and predictable off-road. It is lighter than most ADV bikes. It's not light. Don't hear me say it's light. It's not 300 pounds, but it is lighter than most of the ADV bikes. It's 40 pounds-ish lighter than my KTM 790 as an example. The weight is down low and you can feel the difference. This bike is confidence-inspiring in a different way. And I definitely, maybe it's mental, I don't think it is, but I prefer this bike in the technical, difficult stuff over most of the bigger adventure bikes that I've ridden. It is much more confidence-inspiring off-road than the Tenere Transalp or KLR and feels noticeably lighter than my 790 with better, more adjustable suspension. It's not the most capable bike ever, but this bike is better for us mere mortals in a lot of ways. It has all the capability we can use and none of the disadvantages that come with higher off-road performance, like stiffer suspension and uncontrollable throttles that most of us won't use anyway. It's not quite as capable with my 300L, even though it has an upgraded suspension, but it is more powerful and is better in certain situations like sand. I much prefer this bike in the sand because the 300L just struggles to turn that rear wheel. This thing, it's an instant throttle twist, instant tire spin. It's really good in that stuff. I'm willing to take this thing a lot of places that I just wouldn't go on a much bigger ADV bike, and I feel like that speaks to its capability, at least for me. On-road capability, there are more in-depth thoughts on this in the freeway and the road trip test videos, but it's fun around town and fine on the highway. Much better than a dual sport, but not quite as comfortable and capable as a bigger ADV bike on the highway. It'll get you there, it's fine. Highway capability is neither a huge advantage nor a massive disadvantage. It's just fine. Before final conclusions, I want to talk about who this bike is for, because I feel like there's a lot of confusion out there and a lot of misconceptions, and people are evaluating it in terms that don't really apply to it or shouldn't for obvious reasons. So first of all, it's not for people who want to learn to ride off-road. Get a dual sport for that. This is easier than bigger ADV bikes, but still heavy, and you want something lighter for learning to ride and picking it up over and over and over as you're building your off-road skills. It's not for the ADV touring crowd. If you want to do thousands of highway miles in comfort, definitely get something else. And it's not for the hardcore, speed enthusiast, hard, fast, extreme rider. It's not a screamer on the pavement, and it won't break your neck with speed off-road. If you read 44 horsepower and said, that's heavy and underpowered, then it's not for you. It's not intended to be. It is ridiculous to expect more than this is at $6,500. That's not the point. That's not what it's made for. If you are trying to ride as fast and hard as possible, this ain't it. And the price point should make that obvious. Now that that's out of the way, who is it actually for? Well, it's the perfect bike for dual sport riders who want to move up to their first adventure bike. It's great for that. You've learned to ride off-road, you're pretty comfortable with it, you want to move up, get some more highway capability, and you don't want to sacrifice all of your off-road capability. This is a great bike for that. It's great for experienced street riders looking to add some light off pavement like gravel roads and such to their adventures. Again, if you want to learn like trail riding and stuff, get a lighter bike, but you could definitely learn to ride gravel on this if you already know how to ride a motorcycle. It's great for average everyday riders who want a pretty capable off-road bike that isn't bad on the highway. That's what this is. And it's great for those who don't want or need the highest performance or fastest speed and value ease of riding, low cost, and versatility. This bike is all three of those things, and it has all three of those things in spades. It's great for shorter riders and those with less strength. It's lighter and closer to the ground and easier to control with short legs. It is also great for the value-conscious rider with adventure riding and camping in their sights. It's one of the best BDR bikes out there in terms of getting both types of capability without spending a ton of money or getting a ton of weight. And you can get this bike plus the complete mods for the bike, luggage, riding gear, and a camping gear setup for less than $10,000. And if you don't believe me, I made a video about that too. Go check it out on the channel. There is an itemized list of all of those things plus this bike out the door, less than $10,000. It is really hard to get into adventure riding and get all the gear you need to go out and do a BDR plus the bike for less than $10K. This bike can be a key component of that. So the question on everyone's mind, is it the Unicorn? Well, first of all, to answer that question, we need to clarify, what is the Unicorn? As far as I can tell, the Unicorn is a truly off-road capable adventure bike that is comfortable and easy to ride on the highway. That is as short as I can make the definition of what our Unicorn bike is. So is it the Unicorn? No, but it's one of the closest things we have. Unicorn is called a unicorn because it doesn't exist. If it existed, we'd call it a rhinoceros. I love riding this thing off-road and don't hate riding it on the highway, but I'd still rather be on a dual sport when I hit the rough, technical, or sandy stuff. But for 80% of the off-road riding I'm willing to take on, this bike is a blast. So my final conclusion, the verdict after 1,000 miles of riding the CFMOTO Ibex 450 in as many different types of situations that I think most of us are likely to encounter as possible is this: there is nothing like it. Where has this bike been? It is absolutely ridiculous to get this much bike with all of these features for $6,500. It just doesn't happen. My KTM 790 costs twice as much, and it doesn't have adjustable suspension, single button off-road mode, foldable mirrors, adjustable windscreen, foldable rear brake lever, or useful app functionality like the Ibex. If you had showed me the specs of this bike and the price alongside it a couple of years ago, I would have said you're crazy and that will never happen. I think this bike is exceptionally good for the market. The price point and the features are unbeatable right now, and I'm really hoping that drives the big four to get their together and give us something similar. I've tried to find significant downsides, and aside from my list of nitpicky cons and wishing it was about 30 pounds lighter, I really haven't found any. And if you think I'm biased or a shill or whatever, just search Ibex 450 review, look at Big Rock Moto's review, or any of the other ones out there. They're all glowing. This bike is just really good without significant glaring downsides, if you know what you're getting and it's what you're looking for. That was my objective opinion and my objective observations as much as possible. Let's talk about my subjective opinion about this bike, which again, you're gonna think is unreasonably good. But I feel like this bike was built for me specifically. I don't need the fastest or most capable ADV bike because I can't ride that fast or hard, and I likely never will. I need something that's fun, easy to ride, and capable of getting me where I want to go, both on and off the road, no matter what kind of crap is in between me and my destination. I want a bike that's fast enough to be fun, but not so fast or so capable that I get in over my head and exceed my very average riding skills. That's the Ibex 450. I love this bike, and I think you will too. Definitely check it out if you're anywhere near the average Joe level of riding ability that I am. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by it. Don't disregard it because of the politics and everything else surrounding it. It's definitely worth considering. Now, the most common questions I've gotten about this bike, and tens of them at the bottom of every video, are how does it compare to the Himalayan 450? And do you like this better or the CRF 300L Rally better? Both great questions, both long answers that are going to be answered in their own video. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss those. They should be coming soon. And I'm excited to put that together for you, but it's way too much to answer in this review video that is already way too long. Thanks again to Moto Camp Nerd for sponsoring this video and pretty much all of my adventures. Make sure you pop over to the site and check it out. I'll put a link in the description and in a pinned comment. But for now, and as always, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you. I'm pointing again. I don't know why that keeps happening.
Excellent!